Am I the antagonist for calling my partner overdramatic and saying they're being ableist? My wife, 40 years old female, and I, 40 years old male, have 3 kids. Our youngest is James, 13 years old male. James is autistic. He's a very smart kid and struggled socially in pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. So in 1st grade, we moved him to a private kindergarten to 8th grade school that had more resources for neurodivergent students. But there were some issues going on at that school, so we had to move him to a public school at the beginning of this school year. My wife and I were worried at first, but he's been doing really well. James' special interests are sports, and he's become close with the boys on the baseball team. The boys are really defensive of him and have helped him to grow, like encouraging him to try umpiring games for little kids. There's also another boy in this friend group who's not on the team. This boy is transgender. Again, the group is very defensive of this boy. One of the boys on the baseball team, Paxton, 13 years old male, has a younger brother, Ned, 12 years old male. I've met the parents of Ned and Paxton at some games, and they've always seemed like nice people. Ned sometimes comes to the games even if he doesn't want to. He's a quiet, nerdy kid, and I didn't ever think he could have been a bully. Ned is in 7th grade. Last week, Ned called a boy in his grade who was transgender a slur, different boy than in the friend group. Paxton heard about this during lunch, and in the passing period after lunch, he went looking for Ned in the hallway. He found Ned and started screaming curse words at him. He was trying to shame his brother. Nothing got physical, and a teacher stopped the argument and sent both of them to the office, where apparently he said he wanted to make Ned's life hell. Originally, Paxton was going to be suspended for a few days, but after pointing out he's never got in trouble before, his punishment was reduced to 3 days of after-school detention. Ned got suspended for a few days given prior bad behavior. Last night, the boys were at our house working on some homework. My wife and I started talking to the boys, and they were telling us about the story. Paxton was also grounded by his parents, so this was the first time we saw him since the incident. He was sharing a bracelet he got from a detention regular that said, "Straight out of detention." He was saying he would do it again and that detention isn't that bad when you know you stood up for what's right. Paxton is a very sweet boy. These boys hug each other when they're down, and Paxton does volunteer work for National Junior Honor Society. Paxton has never acted like a bad boy. After the boys left, my wife told me she thought Paxton shouldn't hang out with James because bragging about detention would make him look like he wants to be a hoodlum. Just in case people ask, all the boys are white and well off, including our son and Paxton, and that James was impressionable because of his autism. I said she was overreacting and even sounded ableist. She's very upset at me. Am I the asshole? You're not the asshole for defending Paxton's actions, but it might be worth addressing concerns about the influence of such behavior on James, considering his autism and susceptibility to impressionability. It's essential to support inclusivity and positive role models for all children, regardless of their backgrounds. Am I the antagonist for misinterpreting my partner? I am a 20-year-old female with a 20-year-old male friend. We both speak Spanish, but he sends me a screenshot saying, "I play with people online and they're awful at the game and they're so bad." It makes me question if I'm playing the same game as them. I'm a huge beginner at a game we play together, and I do a lot of things wrong, and he gets bothered about it at times. So to me, that screenshot made me bothered and insulted. Then I tell him, "Fine, I won't play with you anymore." He replies, laugh out loud, "Hey, I'm not saying it towards you. I'm talking about the others who are online. That's fine, we won't play anymore, if that's what you want." So I purposely said, "IDOWorkHereLady," to intentionally let him know I'm still very bothered. He replied, "And now you're bothered with me? Why? You see how you are." I reply back, "Don't try to turn this on me, dummy." He says, "I only sent it to you because that's how I feel when I see the people we get when I play with you, bro." And I leave the chat for a bit. And he says, "Ha ha ha, you're such a dummy, you see how you like to fight." I reply, "I don't like to fight. I'm just being petty right now." He said in return, "Ha ha ha, shut up. You're just being petty." As always, I honestly felt bothered and disrespected at that point because I didn't feel that any of it was a joke. I work 13 hours a day and deal with a lot of things in my personal life to then hear this stuff. He knows when someone tells me to shut up, I actually shut up because I know no one wants to listen to me if they tell me that. I know he jokes a lot dramatically, but I feel like it's not what he said that bothered me. Well, maybe 5%, but it's the way he said it. I proceeded to tell him that it bothered me, and it went back and forth, and he said, "It's not for all this drama and worth getting worked up for. I'll be cautious of what I send you next time." That honestly bothered me more because it makes me feel like I'm wrong for feeling bothered about such things. And I just tell him, "You know what? Yeah, I'm sorry. It was wrong of me because I apparently interpreted it wrong." His reply, "Maybe it was the language that you took it the wrong way." And I reply, "No matter in what language, English or Spanish, it sounds wrong. But let's just leave it at that. I was wrong." Am I the asshole though? It sounds like there was a miscommunication between you and your friend, leading to hurt feelings on both sides. It's important to address these feelings and communicate openly to prevent further misunderstandings in the future. It's understandable that you felt disrespected, but it's also good that you were able to reflect on the situation and apologize if needed. Am I the antagonist for limiting my roommate's freedom? I, 18-year-old female, have had tension with my college roommate since day one. We barely talk to each other and primarily communicate through text. Although I was upset by this initially, I got over it and accepted that she was going to be someone I only had to live with for a year. However, as the year went on, more and more little things began piling up, most regarding our differing sleep schedules. I am a morning person while she is a night owl. I have no problem with this. My one request is she does not disturb me while I am asleep as I do for her when I wake up early. I am aware that I am very sensitive to any noise or light when going to sleep and use a sleep mask and sound machine. I have been forced to purchase 2 new sound machines as she claims the noise keeps her up, soft rain sounds, and I now rely on a headband that plays sound but is not noise canceling. The noises include letting the door slam in the middle of the night and in the rare mornings I sleep in, making coffee at 2 in the morning, slamming her drawers, blow drying her hair, typing on her laptop, and making phone calls on speaker. I am not a confrontational person and rarely bring these topics up, but when I have, which has been quite a few recently, she somehow twists it on me or claims it is not her fault. For the door, she claimed it was industrial and no way to stop it from slamming. For her coffee, she said it was her machine and she had a right to use it whenever she wanted. When she blow-dried her hair, after I asked her to do it in the bathroom, she said she only dried the ends. She has gone on to claim that there is a lot she has given up for me, including rarely having her friends in the room, not being able to let her friends hang out in the room late at night when I am sleeping, and then claimed that she didn't like me saying she slams the door because it makes her sound aggressive. I get up early simply because I have early classes and work out in the morning and am as quiet as possible. I feel as though I have done everything she has asked of me these past few months, and feel somewhat guilty for limiting her freedom, so I have to ask Reddit, am I the asshole? It sounds like you've made a lot of effort to be considerate of your roommate's schedule and habits, but it's also important to have your own boundaries respected. It might be helpful to have a calm and clear conversation with your roommate to find a compromise that works for both of you, ensuring mutual respect and understanding in the living space. Am I the antagonist for canceling a trip that was planned months ago so that I can go on a foreign trip in search of a partner? So a little backstory. A couple of months ago I had a friend who canceled a trip with me, and after that I got another friend who helped substitute for the friend. This new friend of mine was willing to help and step in and drive me down to the Sunshine State so that I can go to some cool places to dive like Phil Foster's Park. A couple of months have passed, and I recently came to the conclusion that I am in a bit of trouble. I recently realized that I'm reaching my mid-30s and that I need to find a wife, someone who I can settle down with. I live in a very crappy town and state where dating is not great. There is absolutely no dating life at all, and there isn't a community here that will help me find the type of woman that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a traditional Asian woman as someone who I can settle down and get married. Because of this and moving is not an option, I have decided to call off this pending trip so that I can go abroad to find someone. I'm planning on going to a matchmaker dating agency in Saigon, aka Ho Chi Minh City, and get them to set me up with someone. My aunts who lived in HCMC have failed trying to set me up with someone. Almost all of these women they tried to set me up with have declined me. They won't even be willing to give me a chance by meeting me. They won't agree to meet me. Because of that, I have resorted to going to this agency as even my own relatives can't even help me. I feel this strong urge to get married, and I'm thinking about just throwing everything aside so that I can accomplish this and save up for this. I broke the news to my friend and he got extremely mad. He is mad because I asked him to help me out, and because he already bought plane tickets, it got him even more mad. He called me a total tool and asshole and told me that he needs to take a break from talking to me as I got him super upset. I tried to explain to him the reasonings, and he just isn't understanding. Does this really make me an asshole for canceling plans with him after he agreed to help me out? It's understandable that you're feeling the pressure of finding a life partner, but canceling plans with your friend who had already committed to helping you out, especially after he had bought plane tickets, may have been insensitive and hurtful to him. It's important to communicate openly and respectfully with your friend about your concerns and goals, and to consider his feelings and efforts in the situation before making decisions that affect both of you. Would I be the asshole to use my period as an excuse to not participate in my cousin's wedding? Greetings everyone. My cousin is getting married this Saturday and asked me if I can be part of my bridal entrance. I am thinking of backing out and using my period as an excuse. Cindy, 29 years old female, has a Hindu wedding this Saturday. We are not particularly close and never were growing up. My grandparents, paternal, played favorites and treated my parents, my sibling and I the worst. Evidenced by things we heard in the family, stealing our inheritance from our great-grandparents, how they treated us, etc. My mom had enough and moved us abroad, and life is great for all of us since we took a step away from Dad's side. My grandma tried to connect us all again. We were uninterested. Years pass, I connect with Cindy in 2015. We are cordial, however we don't have a bond or common interest. Another cousin, Rudy, tells me that Cindy and her sister Annie talks terribly about random people and family on Facebook. Keep this in mind for later. Rudy and I that is rather weird and rude. In 2023, Cindy is engaged and announces her wedding. For whatever reason, my grandma kept giving me wrong dates multiple times, and when I asked Cindy, she mentioned that invites will come soon and just wait. I asked her for at least a save the date since I started a new job and would like to plan properly, and I live abroad. The wedding in April and the invite was sent February, received late February. The airfares were expensive, and I mentioned to my grandma, without the intention of asking for dollar, that I am going to have to politely decline as it's both out of my budget and too close for me to ask for time off. 4-day wedding. Grandma sends me money to the airfare knowing I would only be there for the Saturday and Sunday, saying it would be disappointing if you don't show up at least to represent your side. And because Cindy and I were friendly, I wanted to make a good faith effort. Even if I wasn't attending, I planned to give her money as a gift. Cindy asked me to be part of her bridal entry. I think foolishly, wow, this is nice. I'm glad we're good. My mother, who happened to be visiting her family, heard from a relative who also distanced themselves from my grandparents and Cindy's family that Cindy and her mom speaks extremely poorly of me and my mother. Her mother and Cindy both doubt my career as a physician. I can provide proof, by the way, and says, look at her Facebook, what doctor acts like that? Referring to me dressing up and traveling with my partner, who is a successful attorney, and me being pro-choice, ABDQQALI pro-therapy, to name a few. Hearing this hurt me deeply, as I believed Cindy was being sincere, and I am considering withdrawing my agreement to be part of her bridal entry, using the excuse my period is expected this Saturday, day of the wedding, and the actual truth too. Would I be the asshole for backing out? Want to add, the person my mother spoke to has never ever met Rudy, nor do they have any relation. It sounds like you're in a tricky situation with your cousin's wedding. Considering the hurtful comments and lack of genuine connection, it's understandable that you may feel uncomfortable participating in the bridal entrance. Taking care of yourself and setting boundaries is always important, especially on such a significant day. Just make sure to communicate your decision respectfully to avoid any unnecessary drama or hurt feelings. Am I the antagonist for making personal remarks during an argument with a stranger? I'm an Indian, so I went to the general chat of an Indian meme subreddit. There, some strangers and I were having a fun chat. I asked one of them about themselves, and they told me that they're an Indian citizen living in England, also called non-residential Indian NRI. Let's name them A. Then someone, let's call them B, made derogatory racist remarks towards Muslims. I told that person that we shouldn't fight about religion, and soon it turned into a heated argument with all sorts of abusive words. However, it eventually cooled down. Then suddenly, I started making derogatory racist remarks towards Muslims. Initially, I did not respond and waited for them to leave the general chat. After some time, I thought they had left, so I asked, are these NRI racist like that? I asked because most NRIAs or Hindus from Indian backgrounds are very racist towards Muslims and are basically Hindutva extremists. Not all of them, but always still there, and started provoking me by making more derogatory racist remarks towards Muslims, making fun of Islam, and calling me a coward. Everything she said was in front of me, so I told B that if they love India and Hinduism so much, why did they leave India like a coward? This also turned into a heated debate with derogatory personal remarks to each other. After some time, the argument stopped. Later, a DM'd me personally, saying that I should not make personal remarks about someone being an NRI and how they left India. She mentioned that she is not from a good economic background and knows how she managed to leave the country. It made me feel guilty, so I apologized to her, but she told me to F off. She claimed that she was just having fun by making these racist remarks, and that I should have commented on her religion, not her personal life. That subreddit was dominated by Hindus, and if I had done that, everyone would start making racist and derogatory remarks towards Muslims. Even though she was the first one making racist remarks towards Muslims, I retaliated with racist remarks against NRIs. Am I the asshole? It sounds like things got pretty heated in that chat. While it's understandable that tensions flared, resorting to derogatory remarks isn't the best approach, especially in an online setting where things can quickly escalate. It's important to try to maintain a respectful dialogue, even when discussing sensitive topics, to avoid hurtful exchanges. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.